and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to import WordPress data to Airtable using an Airtable extension called Data Fetcher. So we're going to use Data Fetcher to import WordPress blog posts into Airtable with no code, and we'll also schedule this to happen automatically. So in order to begin, we want to add Data Fetcher to Airtable. So up here in the top right hand corner, you'll find this extensions option. If you select this, it will pop open and you can see the add an extension option just here. Select that big blue button and then we're going to search for Data Fetcher in the top right hand corner in the search bar, and that should pop up like so. Select the add button and then select add extension. The following screen will load where you can either create a free Data Fetcher account or you can simply continue with Google. Now it's time to import our data. So if you select this create your first request button, it will bring you to the following screen where we can choose our application. For the application today, we are going to select custom and then the following will appear. This is where we can now set up the WordPress Airtable integration. Now we need to enter the URL here in this URL input box of the WordPress post that we would like to import the data from, but we need to use a certain format. So in order to find out this format, you can head over to our full-length blog on datafetcher.com where we have this blog on this exact topic, and you can scroll down to see that information here. So as you can see, we need to have this format within the URL. So we do have an example URL that you can try here, or it's really as simple as just swapping out your own website's URL from the information in that URL. So now we're going to go ahead and paste our URL into the URL input box like so. By having this information at the end, it does allow us to get an overview of the article rather than all the text from the page. So it just gives you that context, which is exactly what we want. So if you are pasting in your own URL, make sure that it takes this format and include that question mark context equals embed at the end of that URL to ensure that it's the context that is being brought through. Great, so now that we have our URL inputted in the right format, we now have the option of adding pagination. So currently our WordPress posts response will be split into separate pages, and this is called pagination. If you want to add pagination to your WordPress request and import all the pages, you can do this by scrolling down to the advanced settings, which you can see here all the way down there at the bottom, and we're going to scroll down until we find that pagination option. Here we can select page from that drop down menu, and then you can either fetch all the pages by turning that toggle on from gray to green, or you can fetch a certain number of pages. So for this example, I'm going to fetch 3 pages just like so, and then for the page parameter, I'm going to type page. For the page size parameter, I'm going to type per page, and for the page size, I'm going to input 100 here. So if you did want to include this, you can do this, or you can leave it just with those settings that we have already inputted up here. And now it's time to title this request. So up here, we have that title as request 1. We're going to retitle this as fetch WordPress data, like so. Really nice and simple. Now we're going to select save and run in the bottom right hand corner and select continue. And as you can see, these fields are now being created. The following screen will load, and this is the response field mapping. Here we have the option of which fields we'd like to import into our Airtable base. So as you can see, they are currently all turned on. They all have that toggle on green. In order to turn these all off, you can simply select the filter all button in the right hand corner, and those will all turn off, and then you can include the filters that you would like to have imported into your Airtable base. For this example, we are going to turn on date simply by turning that toggle from gray to green. We're going to turn on slug, link, and also title rendered. Now you can also use this find field search toolbar to find any of the fields that you would like to search for. Once you've selected all of your fields, you can then select the save and run button in the bottom right hand corner, and now these fields are being created in your table. select Show Output Table, and the following screen will load where all of that information has been populated with your WordPress data into your Airtable. Really cool. Now for this example, we are not using authentication, which means we can only access public WordPress API endpoints. So if you do want to access a private endpoint, you can install a plugin like WordPress REST API authentication, and you can learn more about that on our blog. As well as learning more about that on our blog, we also have the options of importing different types of data from WordPress. So for example, you can use other endpoints and query strings in that URL that you input to import categories, comments, and pages as well. And although this is really cool, currently you would need to manually run the request each time you want to import any new data from your WordPress post into your Airtable. However, we do have the option of scheduling this request so that any information is updated automatically without you having to do a thing. So in order to do this, we want to open up that data fetcher extension again. So up in that top right hand corner, select the extensions, and immediately your data fetcher extension is going to pop back up with that request that you have already titled Fetch WordPress Data. We're going to select that, and you can make this bigger by opening it out to full screen using this full screen button in the top right hand corner. So now in order to use that scheduling feature, you can scroll down and you will see this option here. If you haven't yet upgraded to a paid data fetcher account, I really recommend that you do, otherwise it might not look like this on your screen. Once you upgrade to a paid data fetcher account, you can use this scheduling tool for all of the requests that you would like to run without you having to do a thing. So we're going to go ahead and select the authorize button and select I understand, let's authorize. Now data fetcher is requesting Airtable access, so we need to select the add a base option and select all current and future bases in all current and future workspaces and click on the grant access button. As you can see, that automatically turns on the request, and you can see as well here that we can choose how frequently we would like for this request to run and on which days as well. Then you can select save and close that window over. So hopefully today you have learned how to import WordPress data to Airtable using Data Fetcher. But if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to us here at datafetcher.com, where, like I mentioned before, we also have a full-length blog on this exact topic where you can learn as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn today. I really hope you have a good one.